Hello, guys, and welcome to Season 3 of Space Pals. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're having amazing guests, a new wave of energy for this show. Charlie, could you please briefly introduce what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure, Stacey. So a couple of things that we're talking about today, but mostly around inspiration, around big projects involving space and new methods and approaches of doing incredible things. So first of all, I'm going to ask our two guests to introduce ourselves. Denis, do you want to go first? And then Nicolas, you go after?
Yeah, not a problem. All right, so my name is Denis Rudenko. I'm the CEO and founder of the Coin Garden Corporation. We have a Decron club brand. And the main idea is to make space affordable through the VIP gifts on the first stage, and then involve people into space project by construction of their UFO expo zone in a shape of UFO. So we send precious metals and coins into space through the NASA contractor, and then bring it back and produce in Germany coins. And the main market for us is US. So that's our core business.
Great, thanks. Nicolas?
So yes, I'm Nicolas Gaume. I'm a French national, and Space Cargo Unlimited intends to democratize space manufacturing, and we're particularly focused on the future of agriculture on Earth. And we launched about a couple of years ago a number of experiments to find out what solutions space could bring for the future of viticulture, of how we can grow grapes and produce agriculture that is sustainable, facing climate change, which are a huge, drastic challenge. We believe space has keys to help us for that future.
Amazing. So I guess the first question there, I mean, climate change sounds like probably the instigator. Where did the idea for this come from? You know, where did you think of using space for viticulture?
Well, when you look at what has been investigated for the past 20 years on the space station, you realize a lot of science has been done, best science mainly, and we learned a lot from it. And certainly today, there's more obvious opportunity to seize, but basically it's a conjunction of space as a very unique environment, and particularly the absence of gravity. The reality is gravity is the only parameters of life that has never evolved since life exists on Earth for more than 4 billion years. So when you recreate Earth exactly like it is on Earth, with temperature, pressure, humidity, and the oxygen level and what have you, but you remove gravity, you create a very unique environment. And it's starting to be well documented, but nothing has been done in a more commercially driven, concrete driven, outcome driven, like we're trying to accomplish. And the basic theory is that if a plant survives the ultimate stresses of all, which is removing gravity, then it will be more resilient, more capable of fighting lesser stresses than the one related to climate change, like more salt in the soil. When you have less drinkable water, you have more salt in the soil, which is something plants do not like very much.
Very Nietzschean approach. That which does not kill me makes me stronger.
Nietzsche, yes, probably you're right. Yes, that's maybe a interesting perspective of nature. We actually call that. We wrote a scientific paper on this. We call that the self-guided evolution. It's this Darwinian approach. So yeah.
Ah, beautiful. And Denis, what about you? Where did the idea for Decron Club come from?
Well, I started in Canada, and it was 2015, and I realized a huge mess going on around the space. And at that stage, Elon Musk was on his way to land in the first stage of the rocket. And that was kind of for me of maybe as a big dream, to touch the space. And I went through several coin shows and some startup meetings, and I just asked, what if you would have a chance to buy a space coin or something from space? And they were like, wow, it sounds amazing, blah, blah, blah. So, and for me, it was a kind of, a challenge and kind of, a journey into space for a guy who doesn't know about space anything. Just, it's a real sense, nothing, right? So I just put a goal and I said, all right, I'll go and try. And then I started following all the astronauts, all the launching pads, all the space conferences, just following everyone, and wherever I'll be there. Moreover, I was in a coin business, and there were a lot of coins, on the market, and there were several really very, very rare coins. Most of them were Asian coins that cost, for example, 1 penny of 1872. The price was over $4 million, right? 1 penny. So the crazy for me. Yeah, and they started auction, and within 12 minutes the price went to $9 million for 1 penny, and it was like, oh my gosh. So in that case, I didn't have any Asian coins, so I decided to create something modern coin, and it should become kind of modern rare coin. It's possible to say. So that's how it all started, and then the idea of the construction behind the space coin came onto the stage. So I decided that for me, just to sell coins is not a very sexy business, but I would like to have the same guys, the same passionate about going globally or creating something extraordinary. So the Zen idea mixed with a creation with a kind of a social partnership. So a person who buys the coins became a small partner of the construction of the UFO Expo Zone. And then through the VIP gift, you're becoming, let's say, a part of a big project that you would never, ever try to realize it to make it happen by yourself.
I like how the businesses are exponentially enlarging themselves. I mean, it all starts from a small idea, no one believes in it, and then suddenly you have a whole community of people, of believers.
And I still don't know what the idea will be on the end, when we will present it and we'll have a grand opening party. So maybe it will be a mix with a wine or something else. I don't know.
Well, I mean, could the dream be the first mint in space? So I mean, it's nice to put the metals up there, but I mean, it'd be even better to be the first.
Maybe,
yeah.
We were talking about very interesting business models, and I sort of understand what Dennis is talking about. But Nicolas, could you walk us through your business model? Because it must be very expensive to send just bottles of wine. Okay, sorry, you're muted.
Yes, I did. That's the favorite 2020 quote. You're on mute. But no, I mean, so we launched 3 missions already. So the bottle of wine started. I should say why wine and why viticulture. I mean, we had one launched with Northrop Grumman in partnership with NASA and Nanoracks and Thales Alenia Space. We launched November in 2019, and the bottles came back in January. We had a launch with Blue Origin in December 2019. We launched vine cells into space and expose them to the stress of climate change, like salts, as I said earlier. And then we launched, and that learned a lot, and we actually launched 320 vine plants with the European Space Agency and SpaceX last March, and they returned with the bottle of wines in January. So, and we have 3 more experiments lined up. The next one shall fly next year, and then 2 others afterwards. And so the entire construct and the approach is really to make sure we find a way to again, we're more like space botanists, if you may. So we really expose these plants to a variety of space environments. And I think the most interesting thing is these vine plants that came back last week. And we were expecting that a lot of them would die, but actually all of them survived. And they're very particular conditions, which were very inspiring to our research team. And we actually planted them for part of them on Friday, and the rest will be planted tomorrow. And so these plants, we hope, will show more resilience to climate change. If you take the wine industry, and maybe I should say why we chose wine, Well, wine is actually quite a high value agricultural product. When you look at some bottles of wine, it can go quite expensive. That means there's a lot of wine producer who invest a lot in research. And that means there's a number of research specialists, starting with the lab we partner with, named the ISVV lab from the Bordeaux University. And this lab is gathering very, very, very highly skilled researcher. So being able to leverage this knowledge that is probably not available in other agricultural products, not to say they're not research on tomatoes or potatoes or other, but wine has certainly a very high value research network. And whatever we find, we intend to bring to other agricultural products. Going back to the work we do with them, by construct, if we do find things will be of interest to wine producers, you have to know that, for instance, Bordeaux wine, the region I'm from, in the 70s would be an average of 11 to 12 degrees of alcohol in the wine, and the wine process was what it is. The process hasn't changed, the soil hasn't changed, but in 2020, the very same wine producer will have a wine of 14, 15 degrees of alcohol. Because climate change make the vine plants and the grapes more sugary, that it accelerate the creation of alcohol. And if you put yourself 20, 30 years down the line, then there's no wine anymore possible because the alcohol leverage goes even further. And so you need to change the vine and buy new vine plants. So our intent is, on the one hand, learn a lot and share everything we learn to the scientific community. We already have one scientific paper. Another one is coming next week, actually. And then if we do, as space botanists, find a way to have more resilient plants to the Earth condition, then we will sell these plants to wine producers and fund the continuation of our research. Now, you could ask why the wine bottles in all that mix. And maybe I've given you too long of an answer, but I'd be happy to answer this question I've just asked. So let me tell you why the wine producer.
Yeah.
So what is fascinating, you all heard about how particularly gravity, and again, the absence of gravity is creating a drastic stress on anything living. I mean, most of the thing you put on the space station go to a very hard time. And you may have heard about the twins in space experiment. Scott Kelly, an American astronaut, spent a year on the space station where his twin brother, stayed on Earth. And so when Scott Kelly came back, the expression of his gene has changed, so he could be technically qualified as no longer the twin brother of his brother, just after 1 year in space. So it's kind of a very canonical example of how drastic the space environment can be on anything living. And what is complex in the human body is there's so many interactions. They're extremely complicated to study, and what is also it's a complex study material. The second thing is modern science has evolved in such a way after 200 years of modern science that we are extremely siloed, extremely focused. So if you want to have anybody on Earth studying bacteria or yeast, it used to be super leveraged. I mean, there's no longer this 19th century researcher that were looking at every single aspect of things. Again, to be knowledgeable and expert on bacteria, you just need to do only this. And so it was an interesting cultural approach that by having a wine lab like the ISVV, we had very good bacteria specialists, very good yeast specialists, and all the components in the wine, including polyphenol, which happens to be all extremely interesting components for the future of life science, all working together as a team because of wine. So wine kind of was creating this very unique scientific setup where you could actually maybe look at things differently and connect the dots. And there's no coincidence that Louis Pasteur, the French scientist who discovered so many important things on life science, including the existence of bacteria, did so by studying wine for more than 8 years. So in that sense, wine is a very unique study materials. It's a complex multi-component biological system. It's much simpler to study than human body. So that is why wine is interesting. And the wine we sent is actually, which we haven't unveiled what it is extremely well known. It's well documented. So we also had a lot of research materials to compare to what happened to the wine from what we learned and happened on Earth. So I was way too long. I hope it was insightful.
Yeah, very, very
You
interesting.
actually made me realize something, that two of my favorite things are in danger, wine and truffles, because I hear that in France, truffles are not really growing anymore as much. And now you're telling me that wine is going to get...
Oh, well, it's. I mean, I hope all of us are conscious that climate change is a huge threat. I mean, honestly, I'm a space geek like we all are, and I'm excited about what space has to offer for the future of humanity. But even though I'm a space geek, I really know there's only one planet Earth, and we should take care of it very, very, very much. So we need to all change our behavior, change the way we act and treat our Earth. Having said that, it's already late, if not too late, but at least it's late. And certainly all these changes you're referring to, Stacey, we need to find options. And, you know, when you look at finding options for the future of Earth, you can be either an optimist or a pessimist. If you're a pessimist, you're going to say, hey, science, technology, the future is bad. Let's go back to cave age, which I don't believe the option. Or you can think, hey, maybe the future science, human ingenuity can bring us solutions option. Yeah. And I believe so. And I believe space is definitely an amazing place that could be leveraged much more.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm really interested in is I think both of you have worked with ISS as well. I mean, speaking about Earth as the only habitat, I mean, we have one very, very small, tiny habitat that exists outside of Earth for the past 20 years. What's it been like working with the ISS? Because I know that, you know, you might have to be 3 years in advance before you can get something up there, and it often takes a long time to come down. I mean, Denis, Nicolas, what's been your experience of working through ESA or NASA? Or I don't know how it worked for either of you, but just a little bit around what does it feel like, or how does it work being a private company trying to work with, you know, the International Space Station?
Well, in our case, it wasn't 3 years, but it was a year to stay in a line. Well, you just paid a lot of money, first of all, and then you are waiting. You know, you are waiting, and then you just follow the NASA streaming when your rocket with the astronauts on the Soyuz rocket going to the ISS. But the more tricky question, more tricky issue is when they're going to come back to Earth, because you spend 5 months on the ISS. You know, you are almost you all the experience or all the commercial or advertisement part have been done, and then the last issue is to bring everything safely back to the Earth. Of course, the human lives and astronaut lives is number one. But for me as a founder, of course, I'm taking care of my idea part, right? So it's on the as a second point. So you're just sitting and keep your fingers crossed and watching on this parachute coming back to Earth. And then the boring procedures that NASA have to check everything. Go through the tests, and only after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you'll receive your payloads. That's how it worked in our case. Nicolas, what about your case?
Well, as you said, Denis, it's well, you say one thing super important, Denis, is that the survival and the comfort of the astronaut prevails on anything else. So by construct, anything that could endanger the life of the astronauts, by the construct of the ISS, I mean, it's kind of one very small habitat in the middle of a very dangerous environment. So by construct, there's no risk we want to take to any life-threatening event. So any payloads you put, like Denis, or any experiments you do, or anything you do, is extremely closely scrutinized, and it's very challenging. I mean, the fact is, alcohol is not allowed on the space station. And glass containers are not allowed on the space station. So putting wine bottles, for instance, was a huge challenge in that regard. Now, there's also a lot of amazing people at NASA, in the European Space Agency. We actually have a very strong partnership with the French Space Agency. We have a 5 years partnership. And again, because we went to the root of what we were doing with the wine, we could show the merits. But it took us many more years than Denis to get there. I mean, it was really a 4 year, nearly 5 years journey to get there. But having said that, we had multiple partnership ones like with Thales Alenia Space and Nanoracks in the US that helped a lot. ESA and NASA, again, are looking at ways to make things more friendly to commercial partner. So I think it's also a moment in time where there's much more commercial opportunities than they were maybe even 5-10 years ago. And then you see, and there's many new contenders and players like Axiom are planning to expand the life of the space station above and beyond what is currently planned to be for commercial usage. And then speaking of our partner NanoRacks, they've been building amazing airlock to actually allow many new opportunities for the space station. So I think it's a great first step. So many more things to do. Now, the space station, as far as I'm concerned, is challenging because, again, having payload with humans is a very difficult reconciliation. So we'll see how new vehicles and new opportunities arise with everything that's happening today.
Yeah. Just one more question. I guess for you, Denis, probably the return, because you're bringing back metal. It's not, the shock profile, the G profile, for example, probably aren't too stressful in terms of the payload that you're returning. Nicolas, for you, was that a concern? I mean, I know Dragon, the shock profile of Dragon is quite high. It pulls about 3 Gs when it's coming back. Was that a concern for the bottles or for the canes at all?
Oh, it was. For us, it was like stress and sleepless nights and stress all day. We had obviously a number of G issue, and more importantly, we have temperature issue because wine needed to stay at a temperature anywhere between 15, 16, 17 degrees Celsius. And so obviously re-entry is a delicate moment. And it was, and like I was listening to Denis, I mean, it was super stressful, and I was glued to my webcam at obviously the feed with all the team on site. And so, yeah, and until we actually got the payload delivered on ground, make sure it was all structurally in good shape. I mean, our bottles were, like anything on the space station, it's like 28,000 kilometers per hour, and we did more than 300 million kilometers. So, it's kind of, stressful.
Nicolas, I have a question. What about the content of the bottles? Were they empty or were they full?
Oh, no, they were full, completely full. And so they came back. Now we're going to let them settle a bit after the journey. And it's interesting because wine it's still a mystery. It's a very alchemic beverage. So again, there are many things we're going to study, particularly bacteria, yeast, polyphenol, colloids, a ton of things. But there are also things that we're going to find out by tasting. So on March 1st, at this moment, provided the COVID-19 situation, but on March 1st, we're going to taste the wine in a very rigorous protocol to see how it changed and how different it is from the one that we had before we went on Earth. Which is fun, isn't it?
The invitation from your side.
It's interesting because there was a tradition in the Bordeaux wine of the 19th century, which was to age bottles of wine on sea ship, and all throughout the 19th century there were wine aged on sea ships. So it's kind of interesting connection, and then we were not aware of this. We kind of reconnected dots afterwards that we realized that we were like perpetrating a starship after sea ship tradition of aging bottles of wine.
Stacey, you're on mute, I think.
Stacey, that's your turn. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry, I am. So the question was, alcohol is forbidden on the ISS. From what I know, how did you manage to go over that rule?
Well, first of all, you have to understand it's forbidden because, when you're, even though all the astronauts are amazing professionals, extremely well prepared, and amazing individuals. I mean, they're like to me, the most inspiring people in this planet. Well, you never know. You're in a very small environment. You stay that for many months, so you don't want to create any risks of anything. So truth is, the containers were extremely sealed, so you couldn't really open the bottles in any shape or form. And again, going back to what I said earlier, I believe that the merits of the research is really what got us up there. And wine is a living organism. It continues to evolve in a bottle, and it's certainly something that you have to have in mind to appreciate that it is not a static like maybe other alcohol. The wine is continuing to evolve, continuing to have dynamics. So it was interesting to see these dynamics at play, and to be able to have Earth benchmark that were more relevant. We had to actually have similar bottles than the one on Earth. So by construct, we're going to be comparing, and certainly on wine tasting, as much of the chemical and epigenetic analysis we're planning to do, we'll use the ground bottle as benchmark.
Okay, then let's now go back to Denis. And see, Dennis, you've mentioned that a lot of the people, you've pitched a lot of people with your idea of coin, and a lot of people were interested. How many of those people actually came back to buy the coin? And how do you find clients in general? Because I don't see your ads on Instagram or anywhere.
Yep. So that's kind of a tricky question, because on the stage when I tested the idea, and I had maybe around 10 or 12 people who were interested to buy this coin, and around maybe 5 or 6 big coin dealers who were also interested on the paper. And when we accomplished all our missions, went through the biggest challenges, and we were on the production stage, probably 80% of them were not ready, or just said at the moment we are not at the good position, or something like that. So we have, our product is emotional product. So, and we realize that when you have it on a shelf or on the warehouse, so if someone want to order a space coin, they order it and they want it next day, right? So people not ready to wait. That's why we lost kind of pre-orders who were interested a year in advance. But when it was a moment to pay, some of them were skipped. So then we went through the let's say kind of presentations. So we invited potential auditorium who are space geeks, or just looking for future trends or futuristic products. And actually, they don't care much about what the product will be, but they want to be the first who will have the product. So we presented all the idea, starting from the idea. I described all the stories that was behind the product, and we were forming the first 100, let's say, not inventors, but who want to be on the front line. And then when we finished it, the COVID came on the floor. And to be honest, everything stopped maybe for over half a year, Just people just say like, well, we like what you do, but first of all, we have to feed our families. That was a basic question, almost wherever you would enter. So, but again, talking about the Instagram or any digital campaign, people want to be a part of the story, and they want to see your true story, and the founder, on the front line, describing all the process. It's not, you don't sell watches or pens or something like, or socks, that you just put advertisement and that's it. In our case, it's kind of a hard idea, hard product that you have explained on each stage what you would like to achieve. So so there's a connection through the CEO, and moreover, we were planning to put some scenario on the YouTube channel and describe the live streamings or some practical cases, with myself, starting from the launch pad, from the production, from where we took that precious ingots and how we produced everything, so that people could watch it as a show or as a movie that follows to the dream that I put on my company. And it was also a challenge, it was a kind of a yep.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, Dennis. I saw an interesting question from one of the viewer saying, how did you plan to stay ahead of your future competition? Because by construct, there'd be more and more options to fly coins, and I was wondering myself, how would you plan to do so?
So in our case, it was we were not on the product market as a space coin itself, but we were on the stage of creating and construction big ideas, big projects. So, for example, a coin was only an instrument, kind of a ticket, or if you consider a stock, right? A stock to a big project, right? So on the one hand, you have a kind of an investment in a space gold or space silver coin, right? That goes that increase in price. From the one hand, it's a product, and on the other hand, you are on an emotional part of a big project, and that you can tell all your friends or all your colleagues that, hey guys, we are constructing there in Nevada, not far from Las Vegas, a huge UFO-shaped expo zone, and I'm a part of that crazy project, right? So, and one day I will go there and make a selfie, and will prove you that big dreams can be achievable. You know, that more emotional part, and not many people, not many founders are ready to take the challenge, in achieving big projects. A lot of coin dealers, they are interested, just buy a medal, stamp it, and sell the product. That's it. Not no impact projects, no big dreams on their projects. Just a rough medal, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than just the product; it's the experience as well.
Yeah.
And Nicola, what about you? Is there any competitors for viticulture experiments in space? Or, I mean, you've clearly got the first mover advantage, but there must be other people that are looking at the ISS as a test bed for biologics experiments, right?
Oh, there are many, and that's great, because really it's research is a multi-project efforts. By construct, we hope that what we learn we can share with others and get them to be interested and excited to do more. And that is both on the International Space Station, on the future Chinese space station. There's a lot of opportunities growing further, and I think that again we have so much to learn about Earth nature using space, so that we were very excited about being one of them. There were many done, as I said earlier, we had 20 years of experience on the space station. A lot of them were done on agricultural products. Now, what makes us a little special is probably because we're really looking at a very practical outcome, so very much outcome driven, more than best science. And yeah, viticulture, because it's the canary in the coal mine. It's one of the most sensitive agricultural products, and like the canary in the coal mine, when you have lack of oxygen, the canary will faint, indicating to humans they should get out of here. The truth is, vine is extremely sensible to the climate change. We talked about this. There's also a number of diseases that are unfortunate, but very much very lethal to vine plants. One of them is mildew, and mildew is really aggressing any agricultural. The Irish starvation of the 19th century was caused by mildew. And you have so many more in tons of unfortunate places around the world, and bananas, tomatoes, what have you. So we actually hope to find opportunities to defeat mildew in a more organic way than it is done today. So I think the opportunity is immense. Now, our Space Cargo Unlimited has gathered a number of amazing individuals, amazing team, people coming from Airbus Defence and Space, partnership with the French Space Agency, with Thales Alenia Space, in the US, NanoRack, with ESA, with NASA. We are also engaged with multiple other agencies, and so we hope to be able to grow a deep knowledge of, space botanists. We hope to also work on other projects, because, I think it's only the beginning, and I think it's super exciting to see what space is doing. When we started, my partner Emmanuel Echapar and myself, this venture, we really wanted to be the first user of all the amazing spacecraft that particularly the US were building with SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others. And we felt that, being European, we may not be in a position to build our own space, pressurized space cargo with return capacity, because again, it was always the intent to go into space and come back, hence the name Space Cargo Unlimited. But really being able to use all these vehicles, and we've been, like all of us, I'm sure, super inspired by the amazing accomplishment from SpaceX, from Blue Origin, the amazing partnership that NASA and these private companies have been accomplishing for building the foundation, the structure that will allow us to innovate, create, and find new opportunities. It's interesting that Jeff Bezos always says that Amazon, the company he built, couldn't have existed if there was no FedEx, no Visa credit cards, no obviously telco and internet connection. You could build Amazon on top of this. So we really, and I think it's the vision that Jeff Bezos has for Blue Origin, the one that Elon has for SpaceX and others. And so we really want to make sure we build the best organization to utilize and unleash the potential of manufacturing in space for Earth. And we focused on agriculture because I think that, again, as a human, you cannot not be completely sensitive that feeding humanity tomorrow is kind of the first thing that's going to be defining what we are tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading that there was a really interesting piece of analysis, very, very much aside, huge piece of analysis, that the Arab Spring wasn't driven so much by political movement, but it was driven by the biggest drought the previous summer, which led to significantly increased food prices. If people can't eat, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah, it's the Maslow pyramid. You have feeding yourself, so then anything above is, starvation and well-being. And, we should be worried. What we're doing to our planet has been and is dreadful. So I hope we can, even beyond the pandemic, be able to address that in a meaningful way. And because what is interesting is on agriculture, there's also a strong and legitimate desire to stop using the chemicals and the mechanical production means of agriculture. So we also know that, the food we've been growing for the past 80 years has been grown using techniques that also create cancers and Alzheimer's disease. So there's this mix of, one, climate change is challenging agriculture in general. Two, there's a desire to get out of pesticides and chemical and mechanical. So we need more resilient organic plants to be able to feed humanity in a healthy way. What can we do? As I said, we think that space has a lot to offer in that journey.
And so just building on that, obviously it's probably too soon considering you only put them in the ground, I think, yesterday and a couple more going in tomorrow. What have you got any expectations, or is there any preliminary research from maybe done up on the ISS around what you think you might expect to discover or find from these canes, or even perhaps for the bottles?
So we have a partnership with two amazing universities, the FIU Erlangen and the cell biology department in the south of Germany, and the University of Bordeaux and the ISVV, Institut des Sciences de la Vigne et du Vin in Bordeaux. Both of them, about 15 people, would hate to make any prediction. By construct, they're very rigorous researchers.
Scientists, yeah, exactly. They hate
exactly.
saying anything.
Having said that, we have done an experiment called Alpha. That was our second launch with Blue Origin. For a few seconds, we exposed vine cells to the stressors of climate change, salt, as I said, and we saw amazingly different reaction, amazing different. And that's really informed and structured our third experiments, these 320 vine plants we sent on the ISS from March to January. And they're really, the setup that we invented and set up was really rigorously nurtured by what we learned from the December experiment. So to answer your question, Charlie, yes, we have set up an environment that hopefully will maximize the survival of these plants. And again, as I said, most of them survived, so it's pretty exciting. And we certainly hope that they will grow into specifics. Now, what we want is to have them to grow leaf. So until we have leaf, it's hard to make any analysis. We plan on this week, next week. So let's wait for spring to come, and then I'll tell you exactly what we can hope for, because I think we'll be much more able to do so then.
Okay. And with climate change, you mean, spring is coming sooner, so not so long to wait.
Spring is coming when coming. It will be there. Yes, we still have a natural structure and cycles. Thank God. Let's make sure it stay that way.
Yeah.
Nicolas, I have a question for you. Can you describe your experience working with a Blue Origin and how much time it took you to put your experiment on board? Because in case with the ISS, it's more governmental organization, and I'm interested in how it works in case with a commercial spacecrafts.
I'm with you, Dennis. it's a great question. The truth is, and you've been there, NASA and all the European Space Agency and the agency are really changing, evolving, and being much more open to commercial opportunities. So I wouldn't say that it's one or the other. I hope it's one and the other. By construct, because Jeff Bezos see as his grand vision of putting humanity into space and want to build this infrastructure for other companies to flourish. I think they were very, very, very open to doing more, and we were not the only payload on the last. We actually were not the last one, the one before Blue Origin mission. There've been amazing people to work with, and it was pretty easy. Now, obviously, it's not the same kind of environment. I mean, we stayed on Earth for a few seconds in microgravity in a suborbital flight, and nothing compared to an orbital, nearly more than a year experiment like we did on the ISS. So I think they're very complementary. And tomorrow we'll have private commercial, as I said, Axiom is working hard on this, and there'll probably be many more opportunities on the moon and afterwards. So certainly I see the future is bright for organizations like us. But going back to Stacey and Charlie and your own journey, Dennis, it's hard because as a company you have expense every month, you have challenge, and so it's a hard journey, and I think I envy America, because for sure the public-private partnership that NASA has been building with commercial companies is extremely inspiring, and it's not quite there yet in the rest of the world. It's still very government on the one end, commercial on the other end. So I think that we need to join forces together and have really that grand vision of what humanity can do in and thanks to space.
Thank you, Nicolas, for
yes, or create our own launch site.
Well, Nicolas has just made a great bridge into our next point of discussion, which is motivation, because you guys do very difficult businesses from the perspective of explaining and selling and gaining trust with investors. I mean, Nicolas is just doing a lot of scientific things, which means that you need to connect with all of these people together to make sure that you get the right conclusions, and even that the wine comes back safe and sound, right? And with Denis, you need to persuade so many people and find these people, and I don't know how you get coins on the ISS. Where do you get motivation? What do you tell yourself when you wake up in the morning? Like, how do you make this happen? Denis, let's start with you.
Well, I can split this question on a two-part. So my personal motivation is I'm doing something that maybe 99% people cannot do, or they don't think that they can make it happen. So it's uniqueness. And the second part is I believe that my crazy story can inspire more crazy people that will build infrastructure that Nicolas and Bezos are dreaming of in space, right? So you never know which book or which story or which journey can inspire you. And in my case, my example is to make this story, to make it happen, to make it real, that coming into my object, into my space object with my fellows will put you immediately in a dreaming position. All right, whom I want to be, or whatever I would like to create in space, or what kind of idea, let's say, Earth idea, or just normal idea, you can make happen. So my personal is uniqueness, and the second one is inspire others.
Nicolas, what about you?
On my end, I had 9 startups before Space Cargo Unlimited in a variety of fields. I did a ton of different things. I produced video games. I published children books in China. I did some of the very early web agencies. I developed apps. I produced rap music. So I guess I'm a very eclectic kind of guy, but I always enjoyed outcomes. And getting older, I want to make sure I put all this energy that I may have, and sometimes this ability to connect the dots to really more purposeful outcomes. And I guess feeding humanity on a warmer earth is something that is so overwhelming. And if we can bring a contribution, that would be amazing. And so I'm very humbled by the researcher I work with. They're amazing women and men that are inspiring me every single day. I mean, Professor Stephanie Cluzet, Professor Michael Ebert, Professor Philippe Darrier, all our research team are so inspiring. And honestly, I feel that I'm dwarfed by what they're accomplishing every day. And I hope I can bring them a new opportunity. So outcomes is what overwhelmingly motivate me. And then, I think that we'll look for a purpose. We'll look for reasons or what it is we do. I know Charlie and Stacey, how amazingly passionate you're about space, how you create that forum to share your love, your interest, and your curiosity. I had the pleasure of talking to Dennis, if you remember Dennis, a few years back. And I know you've been on this journey for quite a while. So I think that having fun and doing so, is amazingly important too. And I'm working on another space project, which I can say a few words, but going to all these amazing spaceports around the world and in the US, I realized that these places were often, military base surrounded by very, average hotel, and certainly that's the combination of witnessing this and realizing there's an appetite for Virgin Galactic, for Blue Origin, to SpaceX, to grow space tourism and bring people into space. I realized maybe there should be a unique place where we could train astronauts and make them have a comfortable stay, quarantined and enjoying with their friends and family before the experience they would fly to. And we created this company with my partner Jason Andrews named Orbit, which is planning to open a training facility of a unique kind in 2023. So we'll unveil where it is, how we're going to do it later this year. But this journey came across by visiting spaceports. And so my point being is that you see how many opportunities space is providing. Then after that, once you have a dream, like Dennis or myself, you got to find the ground to it. You need to work relentlessly because, of course, by construct, if you do anything out of the ordinary, people will say, well, no. And we might die, a gazillion times as a company doing this. And I certainly hope we don't. But, I think that is what is exciting about any entrepreneurial project. But space make it 10 times more exciting, relevant, inspiring. So I think it's a unique space to say the least.
It's really interesting that you brought that up. It was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys around, as you said, there's so many opportunities in space, and the number of opportunities as we're building more infrastructure is compounding and compounding and compounding, becoming so much larger. Have you guys seen any extremely bold, outrageous startups? What are the things that 10 years ago would never have been possible?
You look at the Blue Origin, they're like amazingly bold. I mean, the infrastructure and the amount of capital you need to create permanent human presence in space. I mean, even the ISS is bold and inspiring to begin with. I mean, it's when you look at it, to me, it's ISS is the most inspiring, multinational, humanity-driven project. It's such an amazing outcome. So I guess we're surrounded by them, Charlie. But I don't know, Dennis. What do you think?
I can add just an idea came to me 3 days ago. I met, let's say, an old man. He's over 70 years old, and guys, he was far away ahead of us, of both of us. In 1999, he charged special stones that can affect on our human's energy, and he met a general who put that stones on the Mir station, and Mir station for several months was circling the Earth, creating a special energetic cupola on all over the humans. So, yeah.
Men in Black, is it?
And that is a true story, guys. I saw that stones and I saw that man, and yeah, it all starts from maybe strange ideas or not much scientific projects, but it makes all that launch sites. What we do, we bring launch sites closer to people in our countries, in our region, because as Nicolas said, space is on the floor on American homes, let's say, right? But Europeans are so far away that they can't even consider that in their own business, it doesn't matter, IT or healthcare or whatever, that they can use space benefits from scientific, marketing and business point of view, right? And as much people will be involved in this field, then it will have more impact and more different ways of development and how to say, sorry, forget the word, in following or creating new ideas and new platforms on the intersection of business and space.
It's a way, like Denis said, it's like the notion of frontier in the US when they push to the West, or this these connections that China and Europe built with the Silk Road back hundreds of years ago. It's this ability to connect and challenge, and humanity has a lot of good things. I guess I do believe so, even though we know there's also dark side. And I think that uniting to go in this frontier is actually elevating many opportunities. And then down the line, there's so many also concrete outcomes. Again, the absence of gravity is bringing amazing opportunity for new materials, for life science in general. We all know that space mining will become a thing, and there's amazingly interesting resources in space, helpful for technology that can help save lives in medicine, transportation, and we'll learn a lot by innovation, how we can have less polluting transportation mean, more effective habitat. Space has a lot of opportunities to get us to learn, build, invent things for back to Earth and for humanity, wherever we are on Earth, and tomorrow on the Moon and Mars.
I have a question for you guys, and this might be our final question for the chat. You have great ideas, and you've walked a long path to get where you are, because I think you're both on your third launch to the ISS, correct? Both of you have done 3.
Yeah, I've done 3 myself. Well, 2 to the ISS and 1 suborbital, and I'm working on a third one to the ISS. Yes.
We also accomplished 3 space missions, but we were on the ISS only once.
3 space missions. I stand corrected. So, how do you fund your life? And do you have other businesses? Do you have other sources of income? Because this is a very key problem for a lot of people who are trying to make their way into space. How do you live while you're trying to make your dream come true? Can you please share your secrets?
I can answer that for myself. It's easy. I've been in tech business for most of my life, and I've been fortunate to join Microsoft. So I'm actually having a senior position at Microsoft. And Microsoft is an amazing company that's transformed itself significantly with an amazing CEO named Satya Nadella. And I think that all my bosses were quite intrigued by what I was doing on with the space, and certainly that made me an opportunity to continue that part of my life. And that is great when you can do and chase most of your patients. But back to your question, Stacey, it's a funding game. Also, you need to find investors that believe in you. We are fortunate to do so on Space Cargo Unlimited. I was fortunate to have a bit of funding myself that could help for that. So I think it's always a combination. I think that would be a big mistake to think that it's easy. It's super hard, and there's no one recipe. It's a multiple series of recipe, and then you got to be super resilient and really hardworking to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my case, at the beginning of my way, I just cut my costs. That was the easiest idea, to live. Just to I don't know, to skip some fun or some extra costs that maybe, I don't know, normal people would have. But after 2 years, I realized that I can't live anymore like that. So
2 years.
yeah, after 2 years, and then I just added into my income portfolio some real estate business that can bring me. So I created a passive income that will cover maybe 70 of my cost life, and then, as Nicolas said, the rest is funds and some income from steps you make happen. But yeah, the question is really great because space at the startup stage is kind of exhausting from the finance point of view.
It's expensive. Starting a company is expensive alone, let alone starting one where you have to launch things into orbit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for your time. It was a huge pleasure speaking to you, and I hope that you are a great example to our viewers. I hope that people will get inspired from your stories, and maybe we'll get more interesting businesses this year, and we'll meet them at IAC in Dubai if that happens. Really looking forward to that. So thank you so much, and good luck to both of you. And I'm going to watch out to your successes in the future. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.